In everything that you consume, your books, your TV shows, your movies, or just things that you hear around you, you get ideas and inspirations. And if you don't have a simple and reliable system to catch these and to save them, it is very easy to forget about everything that inspired you. So for me, having a reading and quotes journal has been very useful. It's something that I first heard about at university. I studied French literature, and in my first year I had an absolutely amazing teacher. He was one of the best teachers I ever had, and he told us to save quotes religiously and to start building ourselves a quotes treasury that we would keep for all of our lives. It was a very good advice, but he didn't tell us about how to actually do it. I need this to be simple. I don't want to be writing every time I read something or watch a video. I don't want to have my notebook with me at all times, so it has to be simple. I have an autistic brain and I need things to be very tidy and organized and the same way forever. I need a system that is able to evolve with me with time, and a way to be able to, without too much effort, to categorize things. There is something about having a physical journal, a book that you can go through that is a little bit more special, and that for me makes it more likely that I will revisit whatever I am saving in it. So I'm going to talk about a journal, and for this method you will need one of these. Mine is a Leuchtturm, I never know how to pronounce this brand, journal, and I highly recommend it for a few reasons, but you can find equivalents, of course. This is a lined notebook, which is my preferred style for a book where I'm going to mostly write, and it has at the beginning an index that I haven't used yet and I may not use, but can be very useful for this system as well. It has two little page keeper things. Again, I like it for easy access, but it's more of an accessory. And so this is the book that I've been using, and another necessary thing for my system is a book. This is the book I'm reading, is these little sticky tabs. I found those on Amazon and they cost very little money. I have a ton of them and it's going to last me for years. So, sticky things and a journal, a pen and some kind of straight edge. Then inside my journal I have entries. I have two types of entries. One that is books and one that is quotes, and each entry has a specific number which allows me to put things in any kind of order on a day-to-day basis and to reference previous entries as I want to. So for example, if I'm reading a book and I want to save quotes, I can save my quotes and write them down before I have finished my book. And if while I am reading this book I watch a video and there is a very interesting quote that I want to save, I can also write it down before finishing my book and even in between quotes from the book that I'm reading, and it all still makes sense. I highly recommend, if you start any kind of reading journal or quotes journal, that you add a number to each book and each quote. For me it's very simple. I have my books numbered, like the first book that I saved is book number 1, then book number 2 and so on, and my quotes are also numbered the same way. My books are numbered with a dot at the end of the number, so it's 1 dot title of the book, and my quotes are numbered between these things that I don't know how to call in English, between parenthèses. My first book is book number 1 and my first quote is quote number 1. This is important because it allows you to reference things without having to write a ton, and I'm going to show you how this works. So in practice, I am reading a book and I have a bunch of these sticky things stuck to my book, so I can have them very easily accessible. Even if I go out with a book, I can have them. So when I see a quote that I want to save, I just stick one of these like this to my page, I want it to stick out a little bit so I can find it more easily, and I add it at the height of the line that I want to save. When you're watching a video and you want to save a quote from it, you can just take a screenshot or take a picture with your phone, and then you set a habit. It can be daily, weekly, monthly, or whatever works for you, to note these quotes in your journal. So you would go through your camera roll and write them down in your journal, and you can do the same with your book. So you can every day, like every morning, save the quotes that you saved from the evening before, or you could do it weekly. Or what I tend to do is that I will just read my book, and when I'm done with it, take some time to create the book entry and then create the entries of all of the quotes. Now, just a little bit about how I format this in my book, because this is the most important for me. I separate each entry with a straight line, like this. Each quote, each book is separated from the others by just a simple line. I have a margin here at the beginning of the page where I write the number of the book or the quotes, and then I just have the title of the book underlined, the author, and the date when I finished the book. This is my minimal entry. Sometimes I take a little bit of notes, so I just write them down underneath. Then my quotes are just the same. Here the number of the quote is in between those things that I don't know how to call in English, that are parenthèses in French. And if my quote is from a book for which I have an entry in the journal, I will then write the number of the book. So this is quote 99 from the book 163, and it was on page 60. Always add the number of the page. If I was writing a quote from a video or from any kind of source that isn't a book that is referenced in my journal, I would just write my quote here in between. I don't know how to call these either. These, and then add a note underneath with the author of the quote or where I saw it, when I saw it, why I find this inspiring, or what it is about if I need a little bit of context. For example, this is a quote by Senino Senini in El Libro dell'Arte, which is a manuscript about drawing. So I just add a little bit more notes. What I like about this system is that it allows me to take as much or as little notes as I want. It doesn't waste any paper because I just write everything like this, like I don't skip pages or anything, so my notebook is going to last a very long time. And then if I want to have some kind of index of my quotes to be able to find, like I'm writing a video about mountains, whatever, and I want to find quotes about mountains. So how I think I will go about this is I may have a separate notebook or a separate document, because during my lifetime I will read more books and save more quotes than can fit in this one. So I would have a separate document for this, where I would have my topics or my tags, and then I would simply list the references of the books or quotes that talk about what the tag is about. So it took me 7 years to figure out how to do this treasury of quotes thing. This is my very simple system, and now it's your turn to start your book.